Hello, this is Sally welcoming you to the 2053rd edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline, the 2nd of June 2016. The readers this week are Colin, Evan and Stephanie, with Robin on the controls. The editor was Janet, and the production and distribution team is Ali and Alan. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Brouillon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include School Placement Fiasco and Splashing. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow, the 3rd of June, are sunrise at 4:47 a.m. and sunset at 21:11 p.m. A reminder that our annual general meeting will take place on Wednesday the 8th of June at St Andrew's Church Hall, Enfield Town at 7:30 p.m. We will have a special guest speaker, Charles Carroll, a Radio 4 newsreader, who will be talking about his job and giving our readers some tips. We would love as many listeners to come as possible to give us your views about what we do. The meeting will end by 9 p.m. There is ample parking available at the hall. If you require assistance with travel arrangements, please contact Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. An audio version of the agenda for the meeting is included at the end of this broadcast. The Enfield Macular Disease Support Group meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10 a.m. till 12 noon at the Trinity Church Hall, Gentleman's Row, Enfield, EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss. Carers are welcome too. For further details, please contact Alan Newsom on 020 8886 5659. The Home Library Service is part of Enfield Libraries and provides a delivery service to people living in the borough who are unable to visit a branch library due to age, mobility, disability, or their caring responsibilities. We visit each of our members every 4 weeks. The service is free and we will tailor it to your taste. For visually impaired people, we can provide books in large print or recorded books on CD or cassette. We can also bring music on CD or films on DVD for people with some vision. Members are free to reserve particular items. If you would like to join the Home Library Service or know of someone who would, please call 01992 716 010 and we will arrange for the community access librarian to visit you. We'll read the first item of local news.
A deal has been clinched for a massive jobs and homes bonanza for the borough. More than 16,000 new jobs and 10,000 homes will be created as part of the regeneration of a former waterfront industrial site on 85 hectares in Edmonton. Enfield Council appointed Barrett London as its preferred developer on Friday for the £3.5 billion Meridian Water project, one of the largest developments in the UK. Light industry developer Segro has also been appointed and has acquired 10 acres of the site for new warehouses and industrial units. In addition to the new homes, the development will include improved road and rail links, a new railway station, a school, community facilities and shops, all around a beautiful waterfront setting. As a housing zone declared by the government, the removal of certain planning constraints will accelerate construction. A total of 10,000 of the 16,000 new jobs will be in construction over the 20-year lifespan of the project. With the significant investment Meridian Water is expected to attract, together with the improved transport links between North London and the Lee Valley Corridor, it is estimated it could add an extra £3 billion to the UK economy by 2036. Speaking after the formal announcement of the Council's preferred developer, Ahmet Bokina, Cabinet Member for Housing and Housing Regeneration, said, "Now we can start getting boots on the ground and proceed with this transformational project for Edmonton and the wider area, and create a truly world-class development which will improve the quality of life for tens of thousands of people. Meridian Water will play a huge part in helping to ease the housing crisis in London and will provide fantastic quality accommodation to thousands of families." Alan Sitkin, Cabinet Member for Economic Regeneration and Business, added, "The growth and prosperity Meridian Water will create will give our residents, some of whom live in the most deprived parts of London, an unparalleled opportunity to benefit from the jobs and training opportunities we will be creating."
The MP for Edmonton is concerned a 24-hour tube will result in less staff being available to protect passenger safety. Kate Ossamore is sceptical about plans to commence a night tube on the Central and Victoria lines on August 19, which were announced by Mayor of London Sadiq Khan last week. The service will run all night on Fridays and Saturdays, and the Piccadilly, Jubilee and Northern lines will follow later in the autumn. The Piccadilly line will run from Cockfosters to Arnos Grove for 24 hours on those days. The plans were due to start last September, but were delayed after union members went on strike over the service, along with issues about their pay and conditions. Miss Ossamore believes the tube will only benefit people who live close to the main rail lines. She said, "The fact does remain, however, that this will only be of concrete benefit to those who live in the core zones with access to the main lines. I am also concerned over passenger security at stations. Will there be an increase in visible staff working on the platform and at ticket barriers at night? Will the ticket offices that have been closed down under former Mayor Boris Johnson's administration be reopened?" Joanne McCartney, Labour London Assembly member for Enfield and Haringey, also warned safety and noise disturbance will also have to be considered. She said, "The night tube will be an excellent expansion of London's transport network and great news for the nighttime economy, but TfL will have to introduce it in a safe and sympathetic way."
A mother whose son was only offered a place at a school nearly 45 minutes away says she feels messed around. Dawn McCarney of Willow Road, Enfield, now fears 4-year-old Dylan will not be able to start in reception with his friends in September and is considering homeschooling him. The 32-year-old and her husband, electrician Hamid, wanted him to go to the Lavender School, where he is currently in nursery, as he had been settling in well. but despite applying on time and putting down 6 choices close to their house, he was only offered a place at Suffolk Primary School, which is a 45-minute walk and half-hour drive. Mrs. McCartney said, "It's a very uncertain time for us, and it is getting worse. It is heartbreaking to think he won't be in school with the friends he made at nursery, as we wanted him to settle in somewhere first. We are disappointed, as we had been to see all the schools in the area and put down the ones we thought would suit him. It's unfair and silly he's not got a place at a school close by. I don't have access to a car every day, as my husband uses it sometimes, and walking him to school for 45 minutes isn't really feasible. We want a school we can walk to. We applied for those schools because they fit in with our family life, and it's where I feel he would thrive the most. They declined the place at Suffolk Primary School in the hope something closer and more convenient would become available. Dylan is now currently 14th on the waiting list for the Lavender School and 12th for Worcester School, his second choice, as those who applied late but live closer get priority. She has tried to contact counsellors but has had no help, and says the admission team at Enfield Council have not been able to offer advice. Mrs. McCartney, who is also mother to 1-year-old Holly, added, "I feel angry there's nobody to talk to from admissions. There's nobody to fight our corner. It's very stressful. Education is so important. He'll be there for the next 7 years of his life. Instead, they have given me any old school, but I'm not taking just anything. I worry we won't have any schools to go to in September. That makes me feel sad. We feel quite messed around." This year in Enfield, there were 4,508, a record number of applications, and 4,399 were offered their first choice. Mrs. McCartney added, "The issue is oversubscription. There are too many children from the amount of schools there are. It is silly children can go above you even if they didn't apply on time, but I think that's a nationwide thing. The council have been contacted for comment."
And now we have the first of our What's On notices, and this is for audio description tours at the Whitechapel Gallery. The Whitechapel Gallery has confirmed the next 3 dates for audio description tours, which will focus on a major exhibition by abstract artist Mary Heilman. The tours are free, as is entrance to the gallery. The tours will take place on Wednesday the 15th of June at 11:30 a.m, Saturday the 16th of July at 1 p.m, and Wednesday the 3rd of August at 11:30 a.m. To book your free place, please contact the Whitechapel Gallery via email, and their email address is access@whitechapelgallery.org, or by telephone on 020 7522 7888.
It's about improving the look of the area through horticulture, is lifetime gardener Dennis Lash's view of how Enfield in bloom can make the borough a nicer place to live. Every year, Mr. Lashy, alongside his team of dedicated green-fingered volunteers, tours the borough in a bid to find the blooming best gardeners in Enfield. Enfield in Bloom is an annual competition run by volunteers and sponsored by businesses, including Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, whose training ground is located on the borough's northern borders in Whitewebs Lane. Armed with a sophisticated knowledge of anything that needs soil, sun and water to thrive, the team of volunteers and lecturers from Capel Manor College in Ballsmore Lane inspect the candidates queuing up to take part in the competition. When people take care of their gardens, it really improves the look of the borough, Mr. Lashy told the Advertiser at the launch of this year's competition at Enfield Civic Centre in Silver Street last Wednesday. Walking down a street with nice flowers, well-maintained shrubs and lawns, everyone knows it makes it a nicer place to live and work. He said the environment can be improved by doing things as simple as having window boxes or bright, colourful container plants outside your home. But with more and more young people saying they have no gardening skills, Mr. Lashy explains that is why the Enfield in Bloom teams spend time nurturing a love of growing things among school children. We go into primary schools, the children show us what they've grown, and they are so proud, he said. It takes quite a long time to judge in schools because each child gets so passionate about what they've done, but it is worth it seeing their passion and joy. A myth he is keen to dispel is that it is only people who own their own homes who can make their gardens competition ready. A lot of our entrants are renters, he added. You don't need to own a garden to make an effort to make your property and garden attractive. Everyone can take pride in their area, in their environment, in where they live, and we're encouraging people that if they want a nicer area, then they can take things into their own hands.
A planning application for over 400 new homes has been praised by Enfield Council. Developers Countryside have submitted the plans to be built on Avenue Road in Southgate to replace the new Avenue estate with the existing blocks on Coverack Close, Beardow Grove, Oakwood Lodge and Shepcott House demolished to make way. The 140 million redevelopment would increase the number of homes from 171 to 412, with plans for a mix of apartments, maisonettes and houses, and also including a community centre and a preschool nursery. Richard Cherry, Chief Executive at Countryside, said, "We have worked closely with the Council and local community to design a scheme that not only significantly increases the number of homes, but also creates a much improved environment for residents and the wider community, and we look forward to moving ahead with the delivery of new housing." Councillor Ahmed Okana said, "This development not only replaces old housing and introduces many additional homes, but it also includes features that will make it a much more enjoyable place to live in."
People have been left horrified after a speed camera was removed from a road plagued by speeding and boy racers. TfL have decided to remove the camera from the A10 Great Cambridge Road in Enfield, despite regular complaints of people driving irresponsibly. Councillors have written to new London Mayor Sadiq Khan in an attempt to persuade him to change TfL's mind. The letter, co-written by Chase Ward councillors Nick Dines and Peter Fallart, says the problem is particularly bad on Sunday evenings, with some driving dangerously fast, risking lives and causing a lot of noise. The letter says, "This has long been a problem, and recently, by using a cross-party approach and encouraging targeted enforcement, a difference was made. Unfortunately, the summer months historically have seen an increase in people gathering at various locations around the A10, and recent weeks have seen large numbers congregating. We were therefore horrified to learn that, as part of a review, Transport for London has decided to remove the speed camera on the A10. Incredibly, we have been told that there are no plans to replace it, meaning for a 2-mile stretch of the road there is now no restraint on speeding. We urge you to ask officers at TfL to reconsider their stance and put the speed camera back. Councillor Dines and Phillip also asked for Mr Khan for more traffic police on the A10 before a serious accident occurs. On May 8th, the A10 was shut northbound for the entire evening after an accident involving a car and a motorbike, with residents taking to Facebook to say it was inevitable given the speeding on the road. Chris Malloy says, "I don't even have the doors open, just the window locked slightly ajar, plus I'm not that close to the A10, but I can hear them. It's definitely got worse since the cameras went. They just race up and down. I don't understand why there is such a big deal about cost to maintain when these cameras are supposed to be cash cows. TfL have been contacted for comment."
Our second What's on Notice is about an artist's workshop with audio description at Tate Britain. This practical workshop for blind and partially sighted participants will provide the opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of Anwar Shems's work and his process. Using a range of tactile drawing and printing techniques, the session will explore the themes used by the artist, from his use of calligraphy and architecture to his interest in the relationship between texture and form. The workshop will take place on Monday the 20th of June 2016 from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. Places are limited, so book early to avoid disappointment. For more information, contact Anna Murray, Assistant Curator. Her email address is anna.murray@tate.org.uk and her phone number is 020 7887 8888.
Enfield went car crazy over the bank holiday weekend as vehicles of all shapes and sizes drew huge crowds to its annual motoring pageant. Thousands of enthusiasts, visitors and traders flocked to the 3-day extravaganza on Saturday, Sunday and Monday to drool enviously at the polished chrome curves of classic and vintage vehicles and motorbikes. The spectacular annual pageant, the Borough's 39, at Enfield Playing Fields in Great Cambridge Road, had petrol heads in automobile heaven with an array of British saloon and sports classics, together with American Cadillacs, as well as vintage buses and military vehicles. The weather remained dry and mainly fine, enabling visitors to have a peek under the bonnets and view the many stalls selling collectibles, as well as enjoying the variety of entertainment provided. The event is organised by the Enfield and District Veteran Vehicle Trust and is a fundraiser for Whiteweb's Museum of Transport in Whitewebs Road, Enfield. Vehicles from the museum were on display, along with cars owned by individuals and car clubs. Other attractions included a motorcycle display team, fairground rides, including a big wheel, and an auto jungle, plus live music from 1950s style United States singing group, the Fabulous Polka Dots, and big band sounds.
The chief of the Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, (CCG), has resigned after less than a year in the role. Paul Jenkins has stood down from the NHS CCG and will instead take up new assignments in other departments. Mr Jenkins, who had been part of the group since August 2015, will be replaced by Sarah Thompson. She was the Borough Director at Enfield Primary Care Trust, set up until 2012. Mr. Mo Abidi, the chairman, said he was delighted to welcome Miss Thompson in her new role. He said, Sarah has a demonstrable record of commitment and success in her extensive NHS career and will be a real asset as the CCG moves into its next phase. I would like to thank Paul for leading us through a period of challenging times. During his time with us, Paul has led a number of new service developments, including the procurement of an integrated urgent care.
The owner of a car dealership has traded in his usual drive to work for a bike in order to raise money for charity. Richard Ennis, head of business at Stephen James BMW dealership in Enfield, swapped his BMW i8 for a cargo bike and will be cycling from home in Ridgeway Hill to his work in Lincoln Road each day for a week to raise money for the Nightingale Cancer Support Centre. Mr. Ennis said the last time he was on a bike was 9 years ago, but he agreed to do it because he has become increasingly frustrated with traffic on his car journey to work, as well as to raise money for the dealership's chosen charity for the year. Lessa Barker, fundraising manager for the Nightingale, said, "We get no statutory funding and have to rely totally on the local community to help us raise not only much needed funds, but to enable us to provide our service free of charge to the people of Enfield. Having organisations like Stephen James supporting us and fundraising for us is essential to our survival."
Our final What's on Notice is from Metro Blind Sport and the Thomas Pocklington Trust about a ladies' football event in Southgate for blind and visually impaired sportspeople run by coaches from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. The event is on Saturday the 16th of July from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. at Barnet and Southgate College, Southgate Campus, High Street, Southgate, London, N14 6BS. You will be met at Southgate Station on the Piccadilly line, a short walking distance from the college. Meet at the station at 12:30 p.m. To register and book your place, please contact Odette Batterell at the Thomas Pocklington Trust on 07974 578 637 or email her at odetteb@pocklington-trust.org.uk.
Striker Bobby Devine has left Enfield Town to step up a level after signing for National League South outfit Welling United. Devine made an immediate impact at Town after joining the club from Spartan Premier Division outfit Brimsdown in January 2015, playing a key role in their march up the Ryman Premier Division table, which saw them just miss out on a place in the playoffs, scoring 12 times in 18 appearances. The striker was an equally influential figure in the recently finished campaign, adding a further 20 goals in all competitions to leave him with a total of 32 goals from 70 appearances. But Devine has now decided to ply his trade at a higher level, and he leaves with the best wishes of manager Bradley Quinton. "Good luck to Bobby," he said. "He wants to progress, and everyone at the club wishes him well. He's a very talented lad who has worked hard and done well for us. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised that he has only moved up one level, because I feel that he can play higher up than in the National League South." With fellow forward Corey Whiteley also expected to leave the club to move up to a higher level, Town could be searching for a new frontline for next season, although Quinton confirmed that he was hoping to keep Dernal Winter and Harry Ottaway at the club. Meanwhile, Town have announced that their shirt sponsorship deal with the Football Manager computer game series, which is developed by Sports Interactive and published by Sega, has been extended to cover the 2016-17 season. It's great news for the club that such a prestigious sponsorship has been secured for a fourth consecutive season, said Town Chairman Paul Reed. It is a privilege for the club to be associated with such a world-renowned brand, loved by football fans in many countries.
A head teacher is delighted at her primary school being rated outstanding by Ofsted after making improvements. Emma Breckenridge, the head at Enfield Heights Academy in Pitfield Way, Enfield, was praised for her excellent leadership in transforming the school after it was given a low rating following an inspection in March 2014. The 31-year-old is also in charge of Kingfisher Hall Primary Academy in the Rye, along with Cuckoo Hall Academies Trust. Inspectors at Ofsted were previously concerned teachers were setting work which was either too easy or hard for pupils and failing to tell them how they could improve their reading, writing and maths. However, the new report, which was published on Friday, said every child's progress and development is now taken very seriously by staff, which has helped the pupils settle into their classes and behave well. Miss Breckenridge believes the team effort of her staff helped raise the academy to a higher standard. She said, "I am delighted that the hard work of pupils, parents and staff who all make Enfield Heights Academy what it is, has been recognised in this report. It means so much to all those involved to receive an outstanding rating by Ofsted and is a real testament to the great team we have working together here for the good of the school."
Enfield Council has said major playground renovations ahead of the summer holidays are almost completed. The £292,000 programme will see 4 of the borough's parks, Lee Road Open Space, Ponders End Park, Tatum Park and Delhi Gardens get facelifts and receive modernised play equipment and new entrances to make them more accessible for disabled children and their families. Work is nearly done at Ponders End, where the park underwent a £1 million facelift 3 years ago and has finished at Lee Road. Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said that all 4 parks will be done before the start of the holidays.
An MP says that pleas for an ecological study on a controversial Greenbelt site have been snubbed. Joan Ryan, the MP for Enfield North, had backed demands for campaigners to be allowed to carry out a biodiversity survey on fields that developers want to build on. But Fairview New Homes, who manage the site off Enfield Road and Cotswold Way in Oakwood, have turned down her request that Enfield Road Watch should be allowed to conduct the study. Such surveys help give local authorities a bigger picture of the issues before them when they decide whether planning applications should be backed or thrown out. Fairview managed the site on behalf of owners the Church of England Diocese of London. Earlier this year, the company ditched plans for 300 homes, a college and a school on the site. Ms Ryan said, "Fairview say they want to be open and transparent, and they have the opportunity to do both here, and they are not taking it. We all have a vested interest in protecting Greenbelt open space. There has to be a very good and special case if Greenbelt greenbelt land is to be built on. The onus is on Fairview to make that case, and they are not making that case, and are being obstructive towards residents who are trying to make a specialist case for not building on the greenbelt. Enfield Road Watch says the fields are rich with various plants and an abundance of wildlife, which has included red kites and bats. Ms. Ryan added, "The residents are going to this trouble because they care about the environment." Ian D'Souza, chairman of Enfield Road Watch, criticised Fairview, saying, "Where is their community spirit, and what are they trying to hide?" He said that a letter received from Fairview indicated several required surveys had already been carried out. The Advertiser contacted Fairview for a comment, but it did not respond by the time we went to press.
Plant lovers have been showing off their weirdly charming wonders to green-fingered admirers. Scores of cacti, more suited to a desert landscape than North London, were on show at Capel Manor Gardens in Balsmore Lane, Enfield, for 3 days over the bank holiday weekend. Growers had 69 classes to enter, in the hope their prized plants would scoop a prize at the Lee Valley branch of the British Cactus and Succulent Society event. The society is devoted to growing desert plants, and Show Secretary Roger Day was delighted with the turnout. He said, "It went quite well, and we were very lucky with the weather. We had a lot of plants, and it was good to see a lot of children being enthusiastic about cacti. I think they like them because they are so different."
London's oldest brass band has taken home the gold in the national contest. Enfield Brass Band won first prize in their category at 3 of the villages in the annual contest that was held in Lancashire. Band secretary and brass trombone player Alex Gold said the 26-piece band had worked hard to be able to enjoy the competition. He added the villagers involved in the contest loved to see the bands perform through their streets. "People are thrilled it's not a dying art," he said. "The sound of a band playing at full pelt can shake the windows. It's an amazing sound to hear." The contest is often described as the FA Cup of the brass band world, as bands all compete against each other to wow the crowds and impress the judges with their performance.
Safety campaigners are meeting the Secretary of State for Transport to renew calls for a road to divert M25-bound lorries away from an accident black spot. Patrick McLaughlin has agreed to meet campaigners at the House of Commons on Monday, June the 27th. Mr McLaughlin visited Balsmore Lane last April, just before the 2015 general election, to hear residents' concerns about the volume of lorries on the road. In December, a pedestrian died after he was involved in a collision with a lorry in Balsmore Lane. Last month, Enfield North MP Joan Ryan pressed Mr McLaughlin in the Commons about his pre-election pledge to prioritise building a new access road to the M25 in a bid to divert lorries from the residential area. The Labour MP said, as Mr McLaughlin has visited Balsmore Lane to see for himself, he knows that it is being used as a slip road off the M25. It is a residential area with a very serious accident record as a route to central London. She asked him to meet residents' representatives to find a solution. Mr McLaughlin said there does seem to be some confusion over whether this is a matter for Transport for London or for Highways England. That is no answer to the people who are suffering from the problems. It is a very difficult area to deal with because of all the residential implications, but we will have that meeting, Save Balsmore Lane campaigner Rosemary Mamet, who will also be at the meeting, said Mr McLaughlin counted the amount of traffic when he visited the site last year. He said he could see what the problem was, she said. He counted traffic last year. She said that campaigners would be telling Mr McLaughlin that one death was too many and wanted to see an access road between Mollison Avenue and Balsmore Lane. She added, it also has a knock-on effect all through the borough. As I'm looking out of the window now, the traffic is at a standstill. Another campaigner, Norman Bennett, who will also be at the meeting, raised concerns about safety in the 1970s. The first section of the M25 between South Mins and Potters Bar was opened in 1975.
Bidders are vying to run a new care home which is being built to meet the needs of the borough's ageing population. The new development in Old Road, Enfield Highway, will be home to 70 elderly people with plans for specialist dementia care at the site. Current residents at Coppicewood Lodge and Bridge House, both council-run residential care homes, are poised to move in when building work is completed in November. Alev Kazimoglu, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Health and Adult Social Care, said this new purpose-built care home for older people will contribute to ensuring the Council has sufficient residential and nursing care capacity to meet the needs of Enfield's residents moving forward. The new care home will be a bright, modern building with excellent facilities, specifically designed to meet residents' needs. It will be fully equipped with adapted ensuite bathrooms, activity rooms, and a landscaped garden, complete with seating areas and wheelchair accessible paths. The 70 bedrooms will be split into groups of 10 to 14, each with their own lounge and dining rooms, which will help provide a homely environment for the people who live there. Last October, the Council agreed to build another care home to meet the growing demand. Staff from the existing care homes will also transfer to the new building when it is open.
Southgate struggled with the bat as they slumped to a 6-wicket defeat at home to Ealing in the Premier Division of the Middlesex County Cricket League on Saturday. Elsewhere, Enfield continued their fine start to the season in Division 2 by securing a 9-wicket win at home to Indian Gymkhana. There was disappointment for Winchmore Hill though, as their perfect record in Division 3 came to an end with a 6-wicket defeat at North London. Botany Bay bounced back from successive defeats by securing a 25-run win at home to North Mins in the Premier Division of the Saracens Hertfordshire County Cricket League on Saturday. Southgate go to North Middlesex on Saturday, while Enfield visit Finchley and Winchmore Hill host Besborough.
A woman who discovered she had cancer days before her brother-in-law died of the same disease is urging others to put on their trainers and raise money in a charity run. Photographer Jess Chu was told she had cancer after she underwent surgery to have her thyroid removed. By a cruel twist of fate, she heard the news just a day before her brother-in-law, Iggy Solanas, was told he had T-cell lymphoma of the kidney. But while 37-year-old Jess of Gordon Heath, Enfield, learnt the disease had been caught in time, Iggy was not so lucky and died shortly afterwards. Surgeons found 2 cancerous tumours on Jess's thyroid and they were able to remove them. However, she chose to keep her news to herself for a month as the family suffered from the loss of Iggy. She said that she felt fraudulent after her brother-in-law died. I felt incredibly guilty that I had got off so lightly while Iggy passed away, she said. 3 years later, Jess's sister Ali, who lives in Oxford, was diagnosed with the same cancer as her sister and underwent surgery. She has since been given the all clear. Now, Mrs. Chu and her sister are channeling their energy into raising funds and awareness of cancer to help spare others the pain they have faced. Mrs. Chu is encouraging other women to join the Cancer Research UK Race for Life event in Trent Park, Oakwood, on Sunday, June 12. The photographer, who runs her own business specialising in children and wedding photography, added, "You cannot beat the sense of achievement you feel when you cross the finish line, no matter how long it takes you to get around, or how you do it, whether you are running or walking, because you are part of something special. Cancer can completely rip your world to shreds, and we are taking part to raise funds for the vital research that is needed to help people survive. Runners can walk or run a 5-kilometre or 10-kilometre route in Trent Park from 11 a.m. Anyone who is looking for a longer challenge can sign up for a full and or a half marathon event at Lee Valley Park on Sunday, September the 4th.
Disappointment has been expressed at plans to stop GPs in Enfield handing out free medicine. Monty Meth, president of the Over 50s Forum, based at Millfield House, Silver Street, is concerned about the Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group's idea to save money. He says GPs in 49 surgeries across the borough are being told by the CCG to stop issuing free prescriptions for medicines that can be bought in pharmacies and supermarkets. Some of these medicines no longer prescribed may include paracetamol, hay fever remedies costing between £6 and £10, and also eye drops and ointments costing between £2 and £8. The Forum believes the CCG is attempting to increase efficiency savings from 9.9 million to 17.1 million in this financial year, but it will affect patients who cannot afford to pay for medicine. Mr. Meth said, "The most disappointing thing is that the CCG says it will improve patients and the public in everything they do, but when it comes to decisions that have an effect on ordinary people, they do not ask us. This is not the way things should be done, as once again it is the poorest and most vulnerable people in the borough who will be the hardest hit." Mr. Meth believes thousands of people in the borough rely on free medicine due to being on low or non-existent incomes, and they have a right to be involved in healthcare decisions. He said, "Enfield residents are now rated as living in the 12th most deprived of London's 32 boroughs, and this attempt by the Enfield NHS Clinical Commissioning Group to reduce its medicine bill will mainly hurt people on income support, the unemployed on job seekers allowance, the hundreds if not thousands of elderly local people receiving pension credit, and families with children under 16. Enfield CCG has been asked for comment.
7 mothers and 1 father with no adventuring experience have completed a gruelling obstacle course for charity. They took part in the Nuclear Races 7-kilometre obstacle race in Brentwood, Essex, in aid of the North London Hospice. The team completed the course together, which included jumping off platforms into water, negotiating a death slide, and wading through several areas of waist-deep mud and water. One of the mothers, Helen Constantinou, said all team members came out bruised and battered, but were glad to support the charity as they managed to raise £2,000, more than double their original target. The 48-year-old from Oakwood said, "I was chatting to friends at the school gates and said I wanted to do something for charity, something that would push me to extremes. A few said they wanted to get involved, and a few became a few extra. We have never done anything like this before, but courses like this are quite fashionable. It wasn't a race. We all just wanted to complete it safely, and we did. I am covered in bruises still, but I am exhilarated and feel a great sense of achievement. A few obstacles were straightforward, but there were things like climbing the fireman's pole or jumping into water that took a lot of guts." Ms. Constantinou is ladies vice-captain at Bushill Park Golf Club, the club's chosen charity this year being the hospice.
Children at an Enfield primary school tucked into dinner to celebrate the launch of a new kitchen. The team of staff at Galliard Primary School cook up lunches for 400 pupils every day. The new £600,000 kitchen at the school in Galliard Road, Edmonton, was completed in January as part of Enfield Council's plans to provide modern facilities for cooking. The makeover included new appliances, cooking equipment and storage, and the dining room was also spruced up. Good, healthy school food is a key priority, explained Aoife Orphan, Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection. School kitchens are a high priority, she said. They improve our schools, and with a big demand for hot, tasty, nutritional meals, we know this is a huge contributing factor in children's learning. For some children, it is their only meal of the day. The school's head teacher, Penny Sullivan, said children enjoy their lunch times and have great fun choosing appetising meals and learning social skills having lunch together. We also encourage children to learn about the food they are eating, where it comes from, how it is grown, and what is good for them. Dishes include honey and soy salmon, tangy fennel and dill coleslaw and carrot and beetroot cake. School dinners took a leading place on the menu in 2005 when TV chef Jamie Oliver campaigned about improving lunches offered to pupils across the country. Strict nutritional rules were introduced in primary schools in 2008. Enfield Catering Services provide 20,000 meals for pupils every school day. Enfield was rated 5th out of 32 boroughs in last autumn's Good Food for London table results. It has also picked up the Food for Life catering mark for serving ethically sourced fresh food cooked on site and the Marine Stewardship Council accreditation for using sustainable fish. It has also been recognised for using free-range eggs and dairy goods from animals which have access to pasture. Ms. Orhan said, "Sourcing quality ingredients, our cooks produce carefully balanced meals and have a string of industry recognition awards to show for it."
A former Edmonton GP who was interned by the Japanese during World War II before becoming the first woman head of the casualty department of a central London hospital has died, aged 91. Dr. Iris Crass was born in Hong Kong, where her father worked for a finance company and her mother was an English teacher at a boys' prep school. Her family tried to flee at the beginning of the war, but their ship was intercepted by the Japanese Navy at Manila, and she was interned in the Philippines for the rest of the war. Her mother and brother were separated from Iris and her sister. The girls were aged just 11 and 9 at the time. Her story was included in the book Stolen Childhood, the untold story of the children interned by the Japanese. The interned children were taught by other internees, and after the war, Iris went to grammar school in Lincolnshire. She secured a place at St Thomas's Hospital in central London, where she was one of the few women training to be a doctor. Her friend, Dr. June Katie, said she was very proud of being the first woman head of the casualty department at St Thomas's. She later worked for the civil service in a specialist post and finally decided to spend the rest of her career as a very well-loved GP in Edmonton. She worked as a GP at the Dover House Surgery in Bolton Road, Edmonton, and was an avid reader of alternative interpretations of Shakespeare. Dr. Crass was also an active member of the Enfield and district branch of Soroptimist International and was involved in the club's work to help women and girls in the UK and support girls in India and Africa get access to education. Her funeral service will be held on Tuesday, June the 21st at Grange Park Methodist Church in Old Park Ridings, starting at 11:30 a.m.
A toddler has been taken to hospital after being in collision with a car. The 2-year-old boy was treated at the scene in 4th Street, Edmonton, for his injuries following the accident. The extent of the injuries are not being confirmed. London Ambulance Service said, "We were called at 7:09 on May the 30th to reports of a road traffic collision involving a vehicle and a pedestrian near 4th Street, Edmonton. We sent an ambulance crew, an incident response officer, a single responder by car, and London's Air Ambulance. The first of our medics arrived at the scene within 5 minutes. We treated a child at the scene for a head injury and took him to hospital."
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Colin, Evan, Stephanie and Robin on the controls, it's
Goodbye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane to Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.